Anna. We'll open up the public hearing to consider a requested variance from Orange Village zoning code for the property located at 50 Wall Street. Whole Foods, Orange Village, Ohio, 44122, Pinecrest Partners LLC, on behalf of the owner of the property, Square Mile Orange Village LLC, is seeking a zoning variance from the required setback of 60 feet from the Orange Place right-of-way to construct 4 charging stations not less than 4 feet from the right-of-way lot line of Orange Place. Planning and Zoning Commission has unanimously recommended that this variance be granted. Is there anybody here to speak on for the public hearing? Okay, if that's the case, then we will go ahead and close the public hearing. Anna, if you would call roll, please.
Sorry. Klein,
Here.
Silver,
Here.
Perlin,
Here.
Vincent,
Here.
Perry,
Here.
Charnas,
Here.
Duper.
I'm here. I'll make a motion to approve the final order and conclusions of fact for the requested zoning variance from Pinecrest Partners LLC on behalf of the owner of the property, Square Miles Orange Village LLC, for the property located at 50 Wall Street, Whole Foods, Orange Village, Ohio, 44122. Just small
Okay.
type, Square Mile, not Square Miles. Is there a second?
I'll
Okay.
second the motion.
All right, thanks. Anybody have any comments, questions, concerns, anything on that?
So they have a couple charging stations already, correct? And
Not really.
they're looking
They
to add
have-
more.
They have a few, yes, but they wanted to expand more, and the location is actually at the request of the fire department. Bob, can you speak to this? I thought Larry might be here tonight. Well, then I guess I know more. Oh, Judd definitely knows about it.
Yeah, the fire department requested these to be more accessible in the event that they have to fight an electrical fire there. Number one, to keep them away from the building and or other vehicles that might and could possibly be engaged in a fire. So, and these are a high speed charging unit. So
Is
they're
that
more
different from
efficient.
what's there? Is it different from what's there? Because why did we approve it in those locations originally if they don't want it so close to the other stuff?
Those aren't, I don't think they're the same units as the ones in, at least that.
Well, I'm getting different answers from people on here. I'm getting different head shakes and stuff. So Bob Wilson, would you please find out tomorrow and let me know? Thank you.
I was under the impression these are a different unit.
I was too, but I can't tell you why.
Okay.
Anyone know, are they charging for these? Are these free? Are these revenue producing? What's the?
I believe there is a fee for that.
Steve, do you know the answer to that?
Looks like Bob Wilson's trying to find out. I see him on his phone.
I don't know the answer.
Okay.
Well, why don't we move on and see if Larry can sign on or McLaughlin.
Okay, so let's hold off on voting for a minute. We'll swing back. Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report fiscal year 2022, February 2022. Dana, or is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Ferry. Dana, if you do us the honor.
Good evening, everyone. You have the cash account summary for the end of February, which has our cash balance of $10,888,164.
No,
Nope, I said that wrong.
Yeah.
Let's try again. $10,888,164
and no sense.
and 0 cents. You have the summary for the year and month of February. All funds have total revenues of $1,381,205.02. And February expenditures for all funds was $630,823.58. And you are provided with the line items for the general fund, and any variances over the 2/12 percentage for the year to date through February are all timing differences, just us paying things for the whole year or quarterly, and that's what's throwing off the variance at this time. I can answer your question.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments, questions, concerns, anything for Dana? No. All right, Anna, if you could roll, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Curlin,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Charnes,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the tax administrator's report, February 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Vincent. Dana?
Okay, for February, we have gross collections from all sources of $666,555.45, which is about $29,000 less than the same month last year. But we're almost $150,000 up year to date for the 2 months, so looking pretty good for the collections. And then you have the chart showing the monthly and the gross collection revenues for each of the months so far.
Any questions for Dana? All right, thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Anna, if you call roll, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Curlin,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Charnes,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes, I see Larry on there. I assume that's for the,
Oh, good.
um,
A firefighter is always ready.
we had a couple questions here on the, Larry.
So
Regarding the charging stations, are they the same type? Are they as the current ones that are there? Do you have to pay to use them?
Show us your face, Larry.
Yes, I'm trying to figure that
Might
out
be
now.
working.
There we go.
There we
Hello.
go.
They are different than the ones that are there. The couple that are close to the entrance, those are going to be removed. It's a little more robust system from what I understand. I believe that it is through their company. They do pay. It's like pulling up to a gas station for your electric car. You pull up, while you're shopping, while you're doing your things, you can come and charge your vehicle, and it is for a fee.
I think they work with an app that that.
That's quite possible too.
How long does it take to charge up a car? Like, would I be done shopping and leaving my car there, or would I have to wait for my car?
From what I understand, I believe it depends on the how much charge you need, what kind of battery system is the car.
How many groceries do you need to get?
Electric vehicle. So I'm not 100%.
If you just get a quart of milk, you don't have enough time.
All right, and Larry, would you please tell everyone why they followed the fire department's request for location?
Their original proposal landed in, or they were not within the setbacks originally. They were proposed to be at the very corner of the lot. It's not only the 4 charging stations, but it also has to do with some of the other equipment that is nearby. Then they came back with a proposal to be within the setbacks, but it was within one of the lanes of parking. So our concern from the fire department standpoint was, one, vehicle fires in EVs are extremely difficult and time consuming, resource consuming to extinguish. They burn hot. It's not like fighting a regular, gasoline powered car fire. So one, it was the fire department access, getting our vehicles and our personnel to be able to get to one of the, if assuming it was on the charger. So access was an issue. and moving it to where the current proposed site is allows us much better access from a firefighting standpoint, an exposure standpoint. And it's really safer for everybody around if those are in that proposed, and that's why we supported the variance to have the charging stations along that the set of parking spaces that are along that southern part of Orange Place.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions for Larry?
Well, Judd made a passionate plea at planning and zoning the other night why we should support it.
I think it does a few things that are important. One is our commitment to sustainability. It puts it literally out in our front yard. Number two, this is the future of vehicular activity, and we ought to accommodate it. And most importantly, I think it's in the most appropriate location for it to be there for safety and access.
Anybody else have any? Okay. With that said, thank you, Larry. Anna, if you call roll, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Kurland,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Charnes,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes.
Let me just jump in here for a second and say, in case anyone doesn't know, this is Captain Larry Genova, and he is our fire inspector and our captain. And Larry, this is council.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good. You're always welcome. And we look forward to seeing you every meeting.
I'm gonna leave that to the chief. Thank you.
Thank you for your great service to our community.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We appreciate
Anna,
it.
is this something we need to come in to sign?
Mhm.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, each person has to sign it directly.
Steve.
Yes, the answer is yes.
His
Councilmember
law,
Shippey.
his assistant law director was handling this one, okay?
I didn't get it
Go
yet.
back to
Oh,
your
did
ball
I?
game.
The ball game isn't on. The Guardians already won.
Ballgame's over.
But yeah, the council members should sign as they sign all of the final orders and conclusions of fact.
Yeah, we'll take care of housekeeping. So anyways, move on to a motion to award the bid for the asphalt road repair program for 2022 to Roniak Paving, Inc. In the amount not to exceed $703,310. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Mr. Mater?
Evening all. You should have in front of you the bids that we opened last Friday for the road program. This is basically the resurfacing of the Orange Hill subdivision. 5 bidders. It was at least a good turnout. High range of bids, $126,000 apart on the base bid alone. I would attribute that mostly to the ability of the low bidder to produce their own asphalt rather than buying. My recommendation is to also award the bid alternate, which is the inner layer fabric. It's just another added layer of protection, kind of helps on reducing the amount of reflective cracking and stuff that you'll get on a resurfacing job. Pretty much straightforward.
Obviously, the question that somebody's going to ask, have we done a lot of stuff with Roniak Paving before?
Yes, Roniak has done quite a bit, not only in our community, but in other communities that we represent. So have no issues with them.
Just being preemptive there. Anybody have any questions for Brian?
Do we always do that, the bid alternate when we're doing paving, or is this something?
Well, if it's an item like this, it's one of those things that it's not an absolute necessity. We could do the resurfacing without it. You'll get a little more reflective cracking. When you have an item that's going to be, $60,000, $70,000. If everybody is looking to save money, this is one of those items you could save money on if the village really felt that they didn't want to go in that direction.
But have
Bob
we,
Dugan, what do you want?
We've done a couple different kinds of construction, and I think the village engineer certainly takes a look at the road. We had borings up there on Orange Hill, so we sort of know what the base is. We've had areas on Harvard Road that had fabric put down. It seems to work well and hold it. For the folks that live up in Orange Hill, the condition of the road and some of the sliding and stuff. That'll all get taken care of, but this sort of just bonds everything together and keeps it, there's an added bonus to it, no doubt.
You'd recommend the bid alternate regardless of which company we went with. It's not a commentary on any one product or anything like that. It's across the board, right?
Correct. I mean, if you look at the bid alternate, they're all pretty much the same price. I can guarantee the last 3 bidders probably have the exact same subcontractor to lay down the fabric. The other 2 might just have a different person laying it down, but they all pretty much get the fabrics from the exact same place.
Brian, can you add the detail, because we do have contingency money based on the other asphalt roads, so we have a quantity for repairs throughout the village on
Correct.
roads as well.
I mean, with all our concrete and asphalt programs, we always put contingencies for areas that come up that might need addressed right away. In the past, we've usually not used the majority of it. This year in particular, we really didn't identify any areas that needed immediate to be addressed. So we just have some contingency dollars in there, and that's in the amount of about another $40,000, $45,000.
Brian, in the future, it might make sense, rather than making this an add alternate, have it as a deduct alternate. These kinds of products that make sense to be included in the project. If we're looking to save money, we take them out, but we do it consciously, as opposed to adding it in.
But I do it as a bid alternate because we can choose to award it without the alternate either way. So if this is something that, I like to have the bid alternate listed so council sees exactly what we're considering as the alternate and the dollar amount with
It would still be a bid alternate. It would be a deduct rather than an add. And
Why
I've
do you
always
think
found-
there's an advantage to that?
you may have less cost in when it's built into the basic contract.
There, in an item like this, they're absolutely not, because it's going to be from a third-party subcontractor to put it down.
Okay.
so again, my question though is, we just did orange wood. We use this fabric then? Do we have something to compare how something lasts versus, going forward, so we could say, does this make sense?
Is an orange wood all concrete?
Or, yeah, orange was concrete.
So orange tree, I think, was done 3 years ago. Was that done with?
Correct.
Bob, did you say that in areas where we have it, you've noticed a difference? Could you say where those areas are?
Most recent area was Harvard Road, correct, Brian?
Yes.
Yep, and I think we did see some improvement there. That was a recycle in place. And then we used a fabric and then did an intermediate and a top course. Jackson Road, we did not, and we're sort of seeing, in my opinion, less traffic on that road, but a little more impact this winter with some cracking, reflective cracking, some dishing where tire ruts might be in a little more noticeable.
Thanks. Does anybody else have any?
And Orange Hill, which has low traffic, a good idea to have it there too?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of this, is to extend the life of the asphalt. To me, it's a cheaper alternative than basically an interlayer fabric. They'll tell you is about adding, it's the equivalent of adding another inch of asphalt. Well,
Which gives you how many more years?
well, you're looking to buy out, 15 years on an overlay at a minimum.
And then with the fabric, how long?
No, that's with the fabric.
Without the fabric, how long?
Without the fabric, you're probably noticing patching and stuff. Again, this is not reflective cracking. Reflective cracking is going to happen, but patching and stuff probably about 10 years.
Can one of you just remind me of the timeline on this? If approved tonight, when does this start? How long will it take?
If you award tonight, you'll probably see a contractor in there in about 6 weeks. This would probably be, depending on how much base repair is needed, you're probably looking at best a 2-month program.
And
to do the whole subdivision.
Will any of the streets be closed off, or it'll just be?
No, it's an overlay. You're able to maintain traffic the whole time.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? Okay. Anna, if you would please go ahead.
Sure. Klein,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Curlin,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes, with my thanks.
Perry,
Yes.
Charnas,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes, I'm sorry, Stacy, what'd you say?
As an Orange Hill resident, I said yes with my thanks.
Oh. All right. Moving on to discussion bills to be paid in the month of April in the amount of $157,653.09, and additional March expenses in the amount of $217,313.82. Does anybody have any questions on the bills? Guess that's a no. All right, moving to audience comments. Related agenda items, I don't see any audience. So old business ordinance 2022-7, ordinance prohibiting the discharge, ignition, or explosion of fireworks within Orange Village. This is on for second reading. I don't think anything's changed since the last meeting. So unless anybody has anything mind-blowing here, we could probably push that off till next meeting. If it was 4th of July tomorrow, I'd say we could vote on this today. But no reason. Moving on to the new business, we got nothing. Audience comments relating to management which events the good of the village. No audience. Mayor comments.
Very few, but I would like to remind everyone that the first branch chipping begins Monday, the 18th. Have everything out by 7 a.m. I got a text message this morning from Councilwoman Perry to start the day, which was a picture of one of the houses on Emery Road. It must have been cases of toilet paper spread out all over. So it turns out the house belonged to somebody that is on Lisa's finance committee. And I wrote him to see if he knew about it, and he is out of town. They knew nothing about it. They didn't know what to do. They did call the police. But then later in the day, Anna told me that there were 2 people working there. So I emailed him again and I asked, how did he get on it so fast? He said they had good friends that jumped right over to do it for them because they were out of town. So it's a funny story. I'm sure there's more to learn about it, but if it was really a lot of toilet paper.
Thanks for sending me the picture, Lisa.
Oh, did you get the picture?
No,
Yeah.
no, that was sarcastic.
Oh, Lisa, send a picture to
Yeah.
Brandon. Okay.
Picture.
I did have the opportunity last night to speak to Senator Sherrod Brown and remind him again of our failed attempt to get some relief from the third line designation on the zip code in the database. Steve, I'm surprised I'm not seeing you smirking or something. Anyways,
How's that?
he was standing in Pinecrest, and I said, if I put 44022 in, I get to choose between Chagrin Falls, Bentleyville, and Moreland Hills. But Orange Village never shows up. I said, look at this commerce you're standing in the middle of, which would be a 44122 zip code. I also reminded him that we have 4 zip codes in Orange Village. So he misunderstood our request from years ago, Steve, because he said to me, wouldn't it be easier just to get your own zip code? And I said, no, because you have to have a post office to have your own zip code. So we'll see if anything comes from that. I would like to ask Chris to please give us an update on Sergeant Doublejack.
The vast majority of the news is good. I heard he had his staples taken out of his head within the last day or two, and fortunately or unfortunately, they had to shave his head at this point in time. So he decided, since they were doing that, he had it all taken off. So the next time you're looking for Mike, don't mistake him for Alan Charnas, because we don't want any mistakes. But yeah, he's in good spirits, and they're most of the stuff is good. He had a little setback on the jaw injury, but that's being addressed very, very shortly.
And the suspect, Chris, was officially charged. Tell everybody.
He was indicted and for the several charges, but more importantly, the bond remained at $750,000. So that's the part that's important to us.
No, he's being charged with murder. Is that important?
Attempted aggravated murder.
Aggravated murder.
Attempted.
And that's about it for now.
Thank you. And finally, I'd just like to wish everyone celebrating a happy holiday this weekend, be it Passover or Easter or both. Enjoy.
Thanks, Mayor. I wanted to bring up something. Chief Stir, I know we've kind of talked about this before. Body cameras. I know that our department doesn't have them.
We're working on it.
What's that?
We're working on it. We have a plan.
What do you mean?
Well, we've been talking about body cameras for a while. Next year we get new cars, and the chief has wanted to integrate the body cameras, car cameras with the same storage system all at once, since we're so close to replacing the cars. And we have been actively applying for whatever grants we can find, because it seems that there might be money out there for this. Chris, have I missed anything else? I mean, Brandon, you're right. We're heading towards getting those pieces of
That's
equipment.
pretty well shared. The issue here is that it can also be a significant cost savings that we get those same body cameras as we do the in-car cameras, so that we don't have to utilize 2 servers. And you're about past my computer knowledge right now after I said 2 servers, but everything is in place, as well as us looking into different grants that are available for the body camera system. And keep in mind, outside of it, body cameras are evidence collectors. It wouldn't have kept Sergeant Doublejack safe. So
That's not what I was implying. I mean,
but we were just talking about him, so I
yeah.
insinuated, or I thought that.
Connected.
Yeah. So yeah, we are in the process, and we're gonna have some issues coming up shortly because of vehicles, and I'm planning on contacting either you, Brandon, or whoever's who's the safety chair right now. Is there one? Or
I
no?
mean, it's, you know.
No, Chris, no,
Okay.
there's not.
There's not really.
And there
Okay.
doesn't need to be, because everybody can meet together.
Yeah, well, once we're able to meet together, it'll probably be a little bit easier as well.
Brandon, we've also been putting aside some money in the 401 account headed towards this.
So I guess I just want to understand the time frame. Is it something that, you know, you think that we could get body cameras in the next 6 months? Is it something that you're looking that will?
Within the year.
My guess is, yeah, probably within 12 months.
And also, Brandon, if we order a car today, 300, 400 days, Chris?
No, that's more at the service or fire stuff. Ours is about 32 to 42 weeks.
Weeks. It's still a lot of time. So if we ordered the cars today, it would be a year to get it all in.
Right. And we have every intention of changing over our in-car cameras because we've had those for a very long time.
I think,
And,
Brandon, it's safe to say we hope to have that done by the end of 23, and I'll make that our goal.
That's like a year and a half.
Well, no, I
But I
would
mean,
say,
a lot of money to get there, and we're working on getting sources for that too.
Have we looked at cost and stuff on that? I just think it's something that we need to do soon. I mean, I think we're behind. I think that's one thing that we're maybe behind in my opinion. And
We agree.
and I'd like to see that.
We'll do it. We'll move as fast as we can,
right.
but that's a realistic timeframe.
It is.
The end of 23 is, or just 12
No,
months?
I think about 12 months is about right.
Okay. Have we gotten estimates or like cost on any of that stuff yet?
We have that all laid out and between us and Nick with the
Right.
server system and the new cameras, but the nice part is, like I said, they're going to be integrated. So they're
Right.
not too, if we got body cameras right now, it'd be a whole different system. And
The other
wouldn't be
problem,
integrated.
Brandon, is the price of cars have gone up.
I'm not talking about the cars though.
I know,
I'm
but
talking about-
that's part of getting to where you want to get.
Ish.
Sort of, yeah.
I mean, I just,
We hear you, we agree.
is there, if you said there's some grants available, if we don't get grants, does that change anything or do we have
Well,
money?
I think we're doing it no matter what, but if we can save 20, 30, 40, 50,000, it would be very helpful.
Right. Just
Brandon, I
not
would
at the
be-
expense of waiting, however long, if it takes a lot longer for a grant, I think.
I would be recommending that we go into reserves if we have to for that.
All right. I appreciate that. I think that'd be good. So thank you guys.
Sure.
I think that is my only comment really. So move on to Mrs. Perry.
Thanks. I have really no comments tonight, but happy Easter, happy Passover to everybody. Happy spring. Let's hope it doesn't.
You have
snow.
some garden committee comments coming up soon, I think.
Pretty soon. I planted my peas. That's all I can report.
Thank you. Mr. Silver,
I have no comments.
Ms. Curlin,
I have no comments.
Mr. Charnas,
I have no comments.
Mr. Klein.
I have a few, so sit back for a minute. I shared with you last week a new proposal from the consultant that we were looking to engage for the Ready Committee. We're going to be looking for ultimately approval both to expend the money and to engage into a contract with the provider. We're focused on 3 items in this proposal. The first is educational, with developing 2 educational sessions that will be available to the community, the council, the administration, and departments, that whoever wants to participate. The first will be under understanding diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And the second is understanding bias. The second area that we're looking to the consultant to provide services for is to assist us in developing some questions that would be included in the community-wide survey that's proposed to be sent around this year. And then third, to assist the Ready Committee in goal setting following the educational programs. They will continue to work with the Ready Committee where goals and objectives are developed, and fees for those services will be determined at such time as we know what it is that we really want to do. There are costs that are identified in the proposal, and obviously we need to allocate funding and approve engagement. I think this is our first step in what I believe is the correct direction for the Ready Committee to focus on for the community at large. And we'll be meeting, our next meeting of the Ready Committee will be April 25th, when we will discuss the proposal and then get back to council on our recommendation, and along with setting some prospective schedules for these two initial educational programs with the provider. So if you have any questions, I'm ready to and willing to always to field them.
Anybody have questions for Mr. Klein?
Did I see that the consultant AJ charges $1,000 an hour?
Well, for these particular activities, it's $1,000 an hour. Their general rate isn't that high, but it's for the activities described $1,000 an hour.
That seems high.
Well, not really.
an
When we look at
understatement.
what it is that they're going to be providing. We've talked to other groups in the past, and Stacy and I early on had engaged or listed some other providers, and I think they were upwards of $5,000 to provide the same thing. No, for the activity, that will probably be about $3,000 or $4,000 from this provider. So I think we're in line with what it is that we are trying to do.
Again, maybe, I don't know how concise you can do it. What is it that that the committee is trying to do? I mean, you've been meeting for a year and, is it just talking about a proposal?
Well, it's taking a long time, when you work in a committee, as you know, Alan, it takes a long time to get around the barn. And, it took a long time to get a proposal together, to get providers to come to us with their ideas. We had presentations from both the provider we are hoping to engage, and one other provider that we were also talking with in the process. They gave us some insight and education to begin with. We've had a lot of discussion that, quite honestly, you find yourself going down blind alleys. And the idea is to bring somebody into the process that can help us from avoiding going down the blind alleys and come out into the light with what it is, which is engaging our community to discuss and address this particular social issue that we find ourselves facing in our communities, in our daily lives, in the work that we do, and the places that we work.
This also, I'm sorry, Jed, if I might just chime in, it really allows us to stand by our creed of being a warm and welcoming community and inviting everyone to be a part of the conversation. AJ Liu, as you would have read on the description that Jed sent out, she's a person that's willing to follow our lead, but has the experience to guide us where we go from here. And that's been the big question, is we've been talking for a year based on what we know, but this allows us to take the next step. And their experience can guide us to that next point. And from what we've seen with the other consultant fees, we've checked into a bunch of these, and they are pretty similar.
Again, I appreciate, I think those are, again, we've been hearing this like, oh, we have to lead ourselves to somewhere or something. And it sounds more like we're paying, you're recommending that we pay someone to kind of lead. I think it was Brandon who said last week, some of these things sound like public, more interest group things, that those are interested, could maybe say, we are offering this as an offering, and anyone who wants to pay to come to hear a speaker series or something to that effect. Because again, I don't know that the committee, and I haven't followed along to the minutes per se, but I've listened to your, I guess, committee updates, and it seems like, we're not getting any either thoughts, suggestions, that are related to anything that is a village that we're governing. Because again, there's a lot of social items I brought up last week, mental health crisis. We can get and talk about what can we do for our residents on a mental health crisis. But again, it can lead.
Start a committee, Alan.
What's that?
Start a committee. As you may recall, I had some time ago brought to council the idea of changing this from a committee of council to an interest group for the community. And it was unanimous amongst the members of council that this was desired to be, continue to be a committee of council.
Well,
Therefore,
Judd, that was under the context of if you specifically said in there that you wanted to remove it from committee status, but you wanted to do it with the intent to still present to council recommendations for council and the administration to pass. And therefore it, in that sense, it is governmental business, it's Orange Village business, it's committee business. If it's something that is, I mean, obviously you guys can start anybody can start any committee, any, interest group they want, but if you're looking to have Orange Village funds and, basically recommend something to Orange Village, then, then it's appropriate in committee status. I mean, I'm not stopping anybody from doing anything. I mean, anybody can meet anytime they want. That's not what that was.
back when we were doing the budgeting process, I introduced at least the idea that we needed to allocate funding to put behind this effort. If we're not willing to spend money at it, then we're not really all that interested in it. And I think it's important that we do. And
Again,
I'm
I'm interested.
being a little defensive here, unfortunately, but wait, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm being a little defensive here about this because we put a lot of effort into doing this, to engaging the community. We feel that this is a way in which we can jumpstart the program. We can engage a broader audience of the community and have a better sense of where we want to, who we are and where we want to go with this. And having someone that understands the issues can guide us. I'm not an expert in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I have participated in a lot of stuff, but I'm not an expert in it. And we needed somebody to do that. And we talked for a long time about engaging a facilitator to enable us to pursue this effort. We now are at the point of doing that. I invite you to come to the meeting on the 20th. Our next meeting is scheduled, by the way, for the 25th of April at 7 p.m. It should be on the website. I sent it to Anna. At which time we are going to review this proposal within the committee and discuss the arrangement for the programs to be delivered. The AJ Liu will be on the call to discuss and any issues or questions that we might have relative to it. And I'm happy to I'd welcome you to be there to participate in that conversation. And at this point, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
My issue, Judd, is it's noble, as I've said before, is that in the year or whatnot, we haven't, or at least the Ready Committee, to the best of my understanding, hasn't identified any Orange Village, specific needs that need to be addressed. And I don't think the Ready Committee has. And so, you've said it before, it's almost like we're engaging somebody for $1,000 an hour to find what the issues are when, that's, I mean, I would $1,000 an hour sounds egregious to me. I don't care what it is. I mean, I wouldn't, Steve Byron having legal advice, I would, I would absolutely say that's, egregious $1,000 an hour. Any type of service, $1,000 an hour is, plus travel and printing. And, this is something that my issue here is yes, it's noble. It is good. I am all about inclusion and I think it's important. I just, it's to engage Orange Village, right, in this topic. But, on the other hand, you've seen, attrition in the Ready Committee meetings in terms of who's attending and how many people
Some of
are
that attrition has been positive.
What's that?
Some of that attrition has been positive.
Okay, but addition by subtraction. But
Yes.
but you know, either way, I mean, we had, I don't know how many it was at the first meeting. You had what, maybe 20 something people, and now it's down to, you know, you can count them on a hand. And I worry that, you know, this is a pretty, you know, it's not in the budget, but even, you know, aside from that, it's a pretty significant amount of money to address something that I don't think a problem has been identified. In general, yes, I agree. There needs to be more inclusion in the world. There needs to be more, you know, love, and there needs to be more, you know, acceptance. And I 1000%, I am as liberal as it gets on that, in that regard. I absolutely agree. But when we're looking at spending $1,000 an hour, and not just 1 hour, you know, you have to look at taxpayer dollars and what are we addressing here? And and it's no fault of anybody, but I just don't understand necessarily what specific issues we're addressing. I mean, I'm going
to tell you right now, we don't, if you want issues, I can tell there's a laundry list of stuff that has come from conversations with various people on the committee, but that's not what we need to talk about.
Well, no, I think that is actually important to talk about, because if that's what it is, those are the issues that I need to understand. And I think other members of council need to understand what the issues are that, you know, we're asking to support $1,000 an hour on a consultant to help guide this. So I think it's important.
If this is important, I think it is, I would welcome you to attend the meeting next on the 25th.
I've watched every single one of them, Jed.
Well, no, I would welcome you to participate in the discussion and ask the question, because the provider is going to be at that meeting. Ask them the question.
Well, I'm not asking, you know, AJ Liu, you know, who lives, you know, wherever in Copley or whatever, what the problem is in Orange Village. I'm asking Judd Klein, what are the problems that your committee has identified that Orange Village should be spending $1,000 an hour to address? You just said you have a laundry list. So I think that it would be, I think the rest of council here would
choose, it would be inappropriate to bring up some of the comments that have happened in the meeting, in this meeting. Right?
Why?
I think it's not appropriate. I don't want to do it at this point. Offline, I'm happy to talk to you about.
I'd like to jump in and say that some of these incidences are things that we have talked about. There are very few over 27 years. If 3 people have told me that they think something was done inappropriately, that's probably too many. Yes, there have been people who have misinterpreted or have not misinterpreted, but didn't see another viewpoint, or maybe we did something we could do better, but we're receptive to talking about all these things. And I just truly don't understand why we're even going down there.
We're not. And that's not what this proposal.
But that's what's prompting you to get to this point, because a few people have a story.
Yeah. But the thing is,
And I resent that, because their story is not that I don't know what to say. It's important. Each story is important. But Orange Village doesn't have a problem.
No, if we believe we don't have a problem, then the opportunity for a problem to arise grows. And I think the opportunity.
I don't disagree, but we're not doing this. We are not letting them inspect everything and go over.
They're not. Mayor, that whole thing was removed from the proposal. That whole idea of this investigation of Orange Village. What we're doing now, and what I've backed off, and I talked to you about this directly, is that we would have this educational program, that we need to talk.
How is this different from the League of National Cities that you and I and Stacy got to? It was $2,500 the entire package. Why are we not doing that?
It wasn't 2,500 for the package. It was 2,500 for that one seminar just to introduce it. I mean, I think
that was all we needed.
Back to is an awareness issue.
That's all we needed was the one program.
And that may be where we start. And AJ is somebody who does offer a program like that. We wanted somebody local, somebody that's dealt with other communities in our area, somebody that's experienced this. Judd and I are both very interested parties, but we're not the experts in this. We're just people who are trying to help from what things that we hear and people that we hear who say, yes, we'd love to be able to raise awareness more about the issues at hand. And I'm not in a position to guide that.
You know why I'm defensive.
enough.
You know why I'm outspoken.
I know
on
why
this.
you are, and
It
you don't
started
need,
with a false premise from a wrong person,
well, that's true.
period. And it
The thing is-
snowballed into more of nothing. There's one person in the village who has nagged me for 25 years about
I
something
know.
he feels.
I know,
I don't agree with him,
I
and
know.
I'm not spending village money to chase down his fears.
I'm not, and we're not.
Well,
We're,
and I believe that person's not on the committee anymore, if it's who I believe it is, who told me he did not want to be part of the committee because he didn't feel like they were going to address his needs.
right.
Same person.
Let's, I think we all need to keep an open mind as to what this can be. And if you want, we can get a much more specific number to that. The $1,000 an hour is for the two sessions. One's an hour and a half, and the other one I think is an hour and a half. So together they're about $3,000.
No,
Times two, they wanted to do each one twice.
yeah,
Well, they were talking about one doing I would do them simultaneously with Zoom and live, if you're able to be there. And we're going to talk about that. So that we're, at least saving that aspect of it, to the extent that we can do it live. Quite honestly,
I
insofar.
caution you, you're never going to satisfy the few people you're trying to satisfy.
Well, those are not. I don't have, you can't, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, you can't be all things to all people, you can't fool some of the people some of the time. Some of the people.
in the words of Judd Klein on prior occasions, you don't just go ahead and go searching for an issue to solve. I mean,
Well,
it's,
we together as a collective body, a year and a half ago, put out a resolution. And this was the outgrowth of that resolution to move towards something that looks like action and not just rhetoric.
and I think there's ways to move towards action without, there's all kinds of groups that do fantastic things in this regard that are,
And that's
not
what we have. That's what we're.
not government sponsored, that there's ways to be to be an activist. And it's phenomenal to do that kind of stuff. But you said there's a laundry list of things. And so I still don't know what that is, because if there are things, I think that's important for me to hear.
The
That
mayor
there's-
knows about some of them. And
What's
she
that?
She can fill you in. I don't want to do it on the council
Well,
meeting.
Yeah, but
Fine,
it's
and
a public, I mean, if we're trying to solve a problem here, we're spending a bunch of village money, we have to be able to, to publicly address what the problems
We're
are.
not fixing a problem. We're trying to understand an issue. And the issue is diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And we've
But
reached
what
out.
is the issue? That's the topic.
That's the
What is the
topic.
issue? The topic is
Issue is,
diversity, equity,
How do we
inclusion.
look at things? How do we consider ourselves? Who are we? And that's part of the
That's a topic.
questionnaire that will be forthcoming. That's part of the mayor's, hopeful community-wide survey.
Yeah, but I don't know that we need to pay a consultant $1,000 an hour to ask some questions.
No, but I think we need to ask the right question. You know the right questions to ask? I certainly don't. We've played with it. We wrote a questionnaire from this committee, and it turns out it was a cart before the horse program. And we spent a lot of time developing something that was at no cost to anybody, other than the cost of members of the committee, one of which who's kind of dropped off because we didn't use it. And it was good work, but it wasn't going to go where we wanted. We wrote another questionnaire that we created to find out issues, which was sent out to everyone, members of council included. I didn't get back answers from everybody on that.
Because there has to be an interest in there has to be here's the deal.
You
I
tell me
don't
what
want,
you
I'm trying to cut to the chase and again, I think this is fantastic and noble. It's been 1.5 years and I can promise you, I've watched every single one of these meetings. I haven't identified a goal and I don't think it's appropriate for the village to spend $1,000 an hour on anything, let alone bring somebody in to identify what issues are if you can't even say in a public forum what the issues are. So I guess I'm just putting it out there right now. There is absolutely no way I am supporting $1,000 an hour at, a minimum here of 10 hours for something that I don't understand the objective. I don't understand the goal. I agree with the premise of inclusion, diversity. I am adamantly, and I do activism on that. But I don't see what the village work is here. And I think in order not to, and maybe I'm in the minority here, I don't know, but it's something that, barring something, I don't even know what it could be at this point that I would support spending village resources when there's, the type of attrition I've seen at the meetings. I can't support spending village dollars on something that I think dollars could go other places where there is an identified need. If there's an identified need and a problem, I am all in favor. But I bring somebody in, a stranger to come into Orange and identify what our problem is. I can't support it. And so in order just to not, and again, maybe I'm in the minority here, but I think it's appropriate maybe at this point to just do a straw poll here and is anybody going to support a proposal of this type or anything, remotely like this? If I guess, raise your hands if you're in support of either this or something remotely like this. So we could just, is there anybody besides Stacy and Judd? If so, please speak up.
I'm really disappointed in all that's going on. I'm not quitting because I don't, and I think the issue is not, this mission isn't over.
And I don't think you should
to
quit,
work-
Judd, and
we
I
need
don't
to
think
work through it.
I don't think you should quit. What I just, this isn't saying that this isn't an important topic and that your committee shouldn't do anything. It's that there's no goal.
What you're saying is, are you saying we don't want to hear that there's something wrong, or we want to hear that there's something wrong and you have a correction?
Nobody said, again, I just asked you what the identified problems are, what is wrong, and you won't say what it is, and I can't.
There's some people in the
have to-
community who feel that they don't belong. There's a few people in the community who feel that they've not been treated inclusively. They're isolated, minimal occasions. I care about every single one of them and each of those people. But
When this issue was first raised a year and a half ago, and Judd and the mayor and I had come up with just what was supposed to be just a webinar, just to put out there what we were talking about, what the concerns were, raise awareness about the issue of inclusivity, raise the issue of diversity, just so people were on the same page about these things. What council came back and said, and not everybody on council, and it's a different group a little bit here too, but what some of you that are on the call right now came back and said is, wait, we want to be a part of this. We want to be part of this discussion. We want to be involved as well. And so we formed this committee so that we could allow people, whoever wanted to come be a part of it, have the discussions, and we did.
No, the committee was formed, Stacy, because there was a indication in the basically the premise of the topic that there was going to be recommendations to the village and council in ordinance form or otherwise to make changes, and that has morphed to my understanding that that's not the case anymore.
Well, part of that was based on.
That's why it went
We're
into
not
a
there
committee
yet.
status.
Brandon, we are not there yet.
I understand we're not there, but I don't know where we are, and $1,000 an hour to tell us where we are is egregious, I think.
We've checked with a lot of consultants. I've been in other organizations that work with consultants. Consultants are expensive.
They are, and know what consultants do generally? They'll speak to public interest groups. They lead public interest groups. That, or we're not here on council to spend taxpayer dollars on public interest groups. It's to look at problems, look at issues, and solve those. And you know, there's other ways to address public interest group, and I think that you guys would be fantastic doing this. I just don't see where Orange Village resources are appropriate here when there's no. I don't. Not only do I not see an objective here, but I don't see any issues that are being identified that are specifically related to Orange Village or Orange Village business or Orange Village employees, or you know, or even really at Orange Village residents. Sans, you know, apparently the mayor knows of 3. And look, again, I don't want to come off as being cold, insensitive, non-inclusive, because that is not the case here. It's I think that we on council have a obligation and a duty to look out for inclusion, but also to look out where we're spending our tax dollars. And that number, $1,000 an hour, I'm sorry, that was jaw dropping to me. I almost can't get past that. But you know, I don't see a goal. I see attrition in the meetings. And again, if it's an interest group, there seems to be very little interest.
I would welcome you, Brandon. I would welcome you into one of the meetings. Not just listening to it. Listening to it is very different than being there and asking the questions. And I would welcome you.
I'm not here to drive the discussion. Like, you guys can drive it. You guys figure out what the questions are, what the discussion is, what the goals are. And it's no fault of yours, but in a year and a half, there's no answers to, like, there's not even a mission yet, really, of the Ready Committee in a year and a half. And I don't know why we are bringing somebody in at $10,000+ to find out what our mission is. I mean, usually, you know, any other thing, business or whatever, you have your mission statement, and then that's how you base your business, your project, your goals is based on your mission statement. You don't have a mission statement besides, you know, promote equity, diversity, and inclusion. Well, where does that lead us?
That's what we're trying to find out.
I know, but we can't just throw a bunch of money at something that we're like, hey, let's try to find this out. Because
you know what,
you have a problem, and then you use something to go ahead and solve that problem. Whereas we're basically going the other way here, which doesn't make sense to me.
I don't see this as being a productive direction. Here's what I'd like to do at this point, because we could go around in circles with this. I think we need to, and I welcome you to attend the meeting. And nevertheless, we need to revisit this discussion. What is it that we're doing and why are we doing it? And we'll come back to council with that in a very concise, what it is that's going to come out of this for the benefit of the community. We need to create a cost benefit analysis of what we're doing. So that's what we're going to do. That's what you're asking for. So that's what you're going to get. And we'll figure out what it is that we're doing from there, because I think it's important. I think we've put a lot of time and effort into this.
I know you have.
Undertaking, and I think it has great value for our community in being a leader in the region for what we're trying to do. Other communities are doing, other communities are doing this more aggressively than we are. Twinsburg, Solon, Shaker are all doing this with a great deal of aggressiveness to investigate it. We're just trying to figure out where we sit in the firmament.
Well, if they're doing that, can't you piggyback on whatever they're doing?
They've hired consultants.
They've hired the consultants that we had.
If they're doing it, but you said they're doing investigation, right?
They're doing more than that, and they're doing things that you won't like.
What do you mean that I won't like? What do I mean?
Because they are evaluating performance.
They can evaluate.
They're doing the thing.
They can evaluate my performance all day long. I don't care.
No, it's the performance of the community, the administration, the departments. I don't want to do that.
Wait, you say that, wait, time out. You just said they're evaluating something that I won't like, and they're evaluating the performance of the community and the administration. So are you saying that I wouldn't like the evaluation that they would come back as our community and of our administration? Because I find that, I think we have a fantastic community. I think we have a great administration. I think we have
We do.
fantastic employees.
I agree.
And I think any analysis there would come back as, basically the opposite of that. And
Surprise. Be careful what you.
but well, it's weird, Judd. I'm not understanding this. Last week you said our safety forces are the best, they're the greatest, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, oh, we'll do an investigation. You'll see otherwise. What are you getting
I
at?
haven't said that. I've never said we're going to investigate anything.
Well, then what are we doing?
We're trying to understand the terminology and language of a particular issue, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And how does Orange Village fit into that? What are we doing? And what does our community think about it? And this seems to me to be amongst the best way. We're not hitting somebody over the head with a brick. We're trying to engage them in conversation. And I think that's what's important. That's what we're trying to do. But
And there are residents that are on these calls and joining us. I mean, right now we're virtually, we'd all like to go back in person with that committee. And we've talked about that too. To be face-to-face makes it much easier in these kinds of discussions. We've had residents on there that are very supportive of moving forward and advancing the dialogue about inclusion, about diversity, and setting those goals that we have yet to figure out what they are. You say it's
I
been,
know, but you need.
it's been
a
an ongoing
goal,
issue
and then
for
you
years
hire
and years and
somebody to go
years.
ahead and help you reach your goal.
Maybe they
That's
should
true.
do that on the county level or the larger city level where it'll have a bigger impact. A lot of people are trying to do that.
Again,
It's true,
look,
very true.
my concern here is now that I'm going to come off as crass and all this, and to be quite honest, whatever. I think everybody here knows that, I am very much in favor of inclusion and diversity and whatnot. Judd, Stacy, I'm sorry. I don't think there's support. I don't see that.
well, we'll have to build it. We'll have to build it.
And you guys can obviously continue your committee and all that, but I don't see support after a year and a half. I don't see support through council, and somebody speak up, aside from, Judd and Stacy, if I'm incorrect. Somebody speak up.
Brandon,
and they think that there's-
it goes back to my question, and again, Judd and Stacy, when you were on it, I commend having the conversations. I commend that you put the work in on the committee. It goes back to my question that started a little bit of this conversation and Brandon summarized it well. Not only has there been that we haven't heard anything out of this, I'm not sure what we're doing. The attrition and everything else, plays into that fact of, I get it. A lot of people, I won't say all, because that's exactly there are issues in this world that obviously we are not going to solve today. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about it. Doesn't mean that we all individually can't do better or different, not necessarily better, but different in our lives and in how we do things. But to Brandon's point, we were elected to serve our community, which includes how we spend our taxpayer dollars. We just talked earlier today about body cameras. Like, those have a definitive need on how it serves both our employees, both our community, how it better serves.
And we can't even afford those yet.
And so that is, where I come down, and I agree with Brandon that I don't think there's a support yet, because I haven't seen anything come out of the committee other than attrition. And again, I know you've had good conversations, but the conversations have seemed to go around in circles, at least not advancing anything and I'm not looking for problems. Again, if they're there, I'd like to hear them. Now, I don't want to bury my head in the sand that there's no problems. Obviously, Orange Village is not separate from the rest of the world. If there's problems in the world, we have them, whether it be racial equity, inclusion, and belonging, whether it be mental health, whether it be, all the things that are happening in the world obviously happen here in Orange Village too. But we have to learn we have to govern by where we can spend our dollars and where we're getting some.
Ellen, Brandon, I hear your idea. What I have to do is, as I said, come back with a cost benefit analysis of this and make the case as to why it is that why we should spend our community's tax dollars to advance this agenda. And that's the bottom line.
You
And
can do
that's what-
that, obviously.
That's where I'm going.
I don't see support. But if
Well,
you want to do
but
that, go
right
ahead.
now, you don't. You know, it's apparent right now. I said, I have to make the case in such a way. This is a little like Shark Tank for me. And I've got to convince this group. I didn't think I would have to work that hard at it, but apparently I do. And that we'll have to address it in that way so that there is support for it. And we'll do it.
Okay.
One other thing that came to the committee too is opening our eyes to the awareness that we may not be perfect doesn't make us look bad. It makes us look human. And to the point that Alan said, you know, I 100% understand we're serving our population. We have to examine every dollar we spend. And I agree with you on that. I absolutely would want you to examine every dollar that we spend, especially when it comes to this committee. So when Judd and I go back, or when Judd goes back to the committee and I'm on the committee and we look at that, that's important. But understand that serving our community is also serving the population of our community and the feelings that are coming out of that. And the discussions have been great, right? We haven't resolved anything. I wish we were that good that we could resolve it in a meeting or in a year of meetings. We haven't gotten there, and I hope someday we do. But I think both Judd and I are looking to serve our population in that respect by better understanding and better appreciation for what other people are going through.
So that being said, thank you, Stacy, for your eloquent follow-up. I want to wish everybody a happy Passover and happy Easter. I want to end with something positive on this. I heard in Rabbi's sermon last Saturday something that I thought was really appropriate. Every year at Passover, we open the door awaiting the arrival of Elijah the prophet, who is will beckon in the Messianic age. And what was suggested is that each one of us is Elijah the prophet. Each one of us has the opportunity to make a difference in someone else's life in every day, in every way. And when we open that door expecting someone else to come in, we're already there. And we need to be our own Elijah. So I wish everyone a happy Passover and happy Easter. And we'll see you next time. And if you can make it to the meeting on the 25th, please do. Thank you. And good night.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn.
And good night.
Thank you. And I will, on the moving ahead with a light note, I want to say that I'm very proud to have been able to attend the mayor's meeting with so many of my Orange Village fellow council people and the mayor. We had the best representation of our communities, and that was nice to see. I don't know how many of you heard it, but the school board on this past Monday night did note their appreciation for the ongoing collaboration and was very grateful to have as many members there as they did. So thank you to all who came to that. Also at the Monday night meeting, the school board recognized the state honored mock trial teams and heard from the boosters president. And the board established the threshold minimum balance for the permanent improvement fund at $2 million, noting that that's the floor, not the ultimate goal, and that as large projects come up, things might change. This is a practice that has been in place for a number of years as it is, but it was made official Monday night. For those that look to an outdoor pool, I know we had some swimming discussions early on in this. I think we were just chatting. The board is looking to upgrade the outdoor swimming pool at the school, which serves as a community pool. It won't be done this summer, unfortunately, but that whole spray ground area is going to be, they have plans to change it all up and make it, bring it into the 2022s, 2023s. And that also includes that beloved turtle that a lot of people have loved sliding down and standing on. The turtle is going to be moved somewhere and we'll find out where that is. Orange High School's prom will be held at the Ritz-Carlton this year on April 30th, which coincides with the class of 2022's last week of classes before senior project. I don't want to go into a lengthy discussion now, but I just throw it out there, and it's something that came up at the mayor's meeting too, something that Woodmere Village does. They commemorate their seniors, and the mayor and I kind of looked at each other and said, it'd be nice if we could do something to just commemorate our seniors as well. A couple of years ago during the pandemic, Anna spent a painstaking amount of time to put every single name up on that board. I wouldn't ask her to do that again, although everybody loved that. But with our party in the park, I think that's what we're calling it in July, maybe that's an opportunity to recognize all of the seniors that live in our community, regardless of where they go to school. But just to say, hey, class of 2022, come stand up here and wave and give them an orange pencil or something special. Just
Stacy, I would be more grateful than anybody if there were even 2 seniors had attended.
well, maybe if we make the offer that we're going to be introducing, maybe we'll get more than 2. I'm sure Caden can grab some of his friends and maybe
Oh,
Alan's.
yeah, we got influence this year. Okay.
Right. Speaking of recognizing seniors, I want to give a shout out to one of them, our own Orange Village resident, Peyton Weiss, who was awarded one of 10 very prestigious Cavalier Huntington scholarships for outstanding achievement. She was honored at a Cavs game earlier this month where she received her $2,000 scholarship. So congratulations, Peyton. And finally, a heads up, especially for those of you who have young children, the Kiwanis Club of Lander Circle is hosting its annual Easter egg hunt this Saturday, April 16th at 1 o'clock for children of all ages, but especially geared toward pre-K through 4th grade. There is no cost to anyone. Kiwanis fronts this. They haven't been able to do it in a couple of years because of the pandemic, and they're so excited to do it again. So hopefully we'll see you out there. It'll be on the Pepper Pike, the old Pepper Pike Elementary School grounds now, where the soccer fields are in front of the Learning Center, and should be a good time for all, rain or shine. So hopefully you'll come out. I wish everyone a happy Easter, a happy Passover, and Ramadan Mubarak. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anna, if you would do the honor.
Klein,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Curlin,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Charnas,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. Good night, everybody. See you next month.
Next time.